Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the K-Man 1971, back with another comic haul. My voice gets a little funky as this video goes on. I'm just getting over a bronchial and sinus infection over the past week, so please bear with me. This haul basically encompasses a little thriller, a little filler from the silver, bronze, and copper age, as well as some of my some current books that I picked up over the last couple of weeks. So, without any further ado, let's get it on. Kicking it off, Avengers from the No Surrender storyline, issues number 677 and 678. These are the last two variants that I need to complete that four-part interlocking cover that started with 675. And this set isn't really that going for that much. I think it's going for like 50 plus dollars online. But after I bought the first couple of variants, I had to have the rest of them just for the interlocking cover. But I'm still all in on this storyline. Once again, if you've been away from the Avengers like I have for a long time, the storyline is just pure fun. A lot of characters being introduced. It's like a feel of that old Contest of Champions comic mixed in without giving too much away. And it's been really good so far. So, still highly recommended. So, Avengers variants for 677 and 678. Here's the standard cover to 679, which I guess the variant is kind of taken off on this one. It's already around like $35 book, I think. I haven't checked it in a while. But this is the first appearance of, well, first full appearance of a character named Contender. Not the famous YouTuber from the comic book community, but a new, like, cosmic entity that's on the same level as, like, say, the Gardener and the Grandmaster and other, like, high-powered Marvel cosmic characters like that. And it gives a bit of his backstory and origin and motivation. So, good book. Avengers 680. Um, just the latest installment from the No Surrender storyline from this week. Once again, I have not been disappointed. It would have been my read of the week this week. If not for Dark Knight's Rising Wild Hunt. Anytime that you can get Grant Morrison involved in the DC universe, never mind Grant Morrison involved in some kind of Batman oriented event, I am all in. And it has been far too long since I've read any mainstream Grant Morrison in the mainstream DC universe, and his trippy craziness is all over these pages. Highly recommended. Looking forward to seeing how the Dark Knights ends up ending, because this has been a great miniseries. Great tie-ins. Can't say enough good things about it. Moving on, my cover of the week. To no one's surprise, Art Germ's Supergirl 1980s retro cover. Love it. Love it, man. Such a great run of covers. I guess there are only two more coming up left, I think, like 19 and 20. But, wow. Another DCB cover, Suicide Squad number 35. I thought at first this was a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. It's obviously a Sorrentino cover, who's another great artist, but I don't know, I just pick up a lot of Bill Sienkiewicz influence in this cover. Beautiful Harley cover. Unfortunately, the interiors are still not enough to get me back on the title. Daily Fable, Justice League of America, Daily Fable I think this is part 2 or part 3, I'm not sure. I don't really read this title. I don't really care for the writer, Steve Orlando, or the art, or the interior artwork. But I picked this up over the past 2 issues just to get Promethea's mainstream DC Universe appearance. And doesn't hurt that it has this nice Terry Dodson cover on it either. Being a fan of first appearances, I decided to pick up the Silencer number 1. I was contemplating whether or not, and I still am, whether or not to pick up, all of these first appearances of Slideways, Rampage. I'll definitely be picking up the Terrifics, but they just seem like, a lot of them just seem like, I don't know, Marvel substitutes that I don't see lasting for the long run. But this title is actually really good and interesting. It was incredibly interesting. Dan Abnett, great writer. John Romita Jr., I'm a fan of his artwork, so I'll definitely be back for issue 2. Swamp Thing Winter Special #1. Um, Great book. Tom King, he's kind of like in that group of writers right now with Remender and Hickman, Jeff Johns, Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison, that I basically have trust in anything that they're writing. So I'm a big Swamp Thing fan, big Tom King fan, Jason Fabok, great artwork, and I guess I had the last Len Wein Swamp Thing story in here. Oh, that was incomplete. And also a great tip of the hat to both DC and Marvel Comics. They had a nice little pinup of an illustration of Len Wein in the back of the comic. And standing behind were, no doubt, his 2 most favorite creations, Wolverine and Swamp Thing. So I thought that was really well done. And the last of the current books, we have Trinity, #5. And the only reason I picked that up, as you know, I'm a bit of a fan of the B covers. And I am a big fan of, lately, of Bill Sienkiewicz. The guy has been in the zone for the past year or so. And anytime that I can pick up a Bill Sienkiewicz cover that covers the Trinity, I have to do it. So, there you go. All right, now into the back issues. Now, this next stack of, like, I don't know, almost like 20 books, I guess, are all range from, like, maybe $1 to maybe there's one instance of a $5 book. But most of these are all between the $1 to, like, $3 range. So, Masters of the Universe, #1, B cover, J. Scott Campbell cover. And this book, I mean, I only paid like $3 or $4 for it, but I think it has a lot going for it. For one, you have your J. Scott Campbell cover. That happens to be a beautiful wraparound cover. And it also happens to contain a preview of Invincible #1. So, for like $3 or $4, I can't see how you can't go wrong with this book. So, Masters of the Universe #1, B cover, J. Scott Campbell B cover, and contains a preview of Invincible #1. Pretty cool. Just a book that I've wanted for the cover. Batman Gotham Adventures, #25, Team Up with the Flash. I think just based on the print run and the cover, the white cover, and the popularity of the 2 characters, I don't know. I can see this book gaining in value a little bit over the years. The Adventures of Superman #463, which features, I believe, the very first Superman versus Wally West Flash race. So, ever since that Justice League movie came out last year, I've been trying to scrape up any kind of Superman Flash races that come across my way. So, once again, only like $3, so why the heck not? Wonder Woman #2 from Volume 2. This is the first modern, quote-unquote modern appearance of Steve Trevor. And I love picking up these Wonder Woman Perez illustrated issues from his run for $1 a piece. Great deals. Here's Wonder Woman #17, which I read on one of, I believe it was the CBSI site, that someone speculated that this was the first modern appearance of Cersei. Which, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that, I don't know who posted it. I can't remember, but after flipping through the book myself, because I believed it was issue 19, but this issue, I guess you could say, but in a very loose cameo way. It doesn't even really show her in a full panel. It's one of those shadowed appearances where you see her hand and part of her face. So if you want the first modern appearance of Cersei where they hammer down her look, and she has a cover appearance and a full appearance within the comic, I would definitely go with 19. And like I said, all these old Wonder Woman Perez issues are still pretty affordable anyway, so just my 2 cents. Nice little Copper Age first appearance that I didn't have in the PC. Longshot #1 from R. Adams. First appearance of Longshot. All I can say, man, is if someone comes at you with a mullet like that, just run, because they don't care. They obviously don't care. More dollar bin magic. X-Men and the Micronauts. As I've said before in the past, I love cross-company crossovers, and I also love crossovers of characters that might no longer be in that under that publishing company's umbrella, which is the case with the Micronauts. Growing up, I loved the X-Men, loved the Teen Titans, and probably third and fourth would be the Micronauts and the Legion of Superheroes. So, once again, kind of like back in the day when I ran into the comic book shop, well, the bookstore rather, was before I even discovered comic book shops, and I ran into X-Men Teen Titans, the X-Men Teen Titans crossover, and my young mind was blown. And it was the same thing when I ran in and I saw on the spinner rack two of my favorite Marvel teams finally teaming up. I was blown away. So nothing special about this book. It's one of those things that you had to be there at the time, but for $1 a piece, I'm very happy to add this back into my X-Men collection. So X-Men Micronauts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I'd like to say that you'll probably never see the X-Men team up with this iteration of the Micronauts ever again, but with Marvel being owned by Disney, who knows? Alright. Pacific Presents #2, The Rocketeer. The second installment of Dave Stevens, or rather probably the third installment of Dave Stevens' original Rocketeer story, which I just love. I don't want to open it up, but this book, I paid $3 for this yesterday. Well worth it, just for the Betty splash page that Dave Stevens does in here. Oh my god. But, yeah, really great stuff. And like I said in my previous video, anytime I can add any kind of Dave Stevens into my PC is definitely better off for it. Speaking of incredible artists that were taken far too soon, Doctor Strange #50, and this contains artwork from Marshall Rogers, which will finally finish off my Marshall Rogers run on the Doctor Strange title. If comics were still, if their value was still based on substance and classic runs, this Doctor Strange run would be definitely worth a lot more than it is right now, which is, on one hand, it's too bad, but on the other hand, I picked up this whole run for the most part out of dollar bins, and I think I paid like maybe $3 for this issue. And this should have been an anniversary issue, Marvel. Come on now. 50? I love versus issues. So, Avengers #214, Ghost Rider versus the Avengers. How can you not pick that up? Alright, a couple of Bronze Age books. King Size Annual, Conan the Barbarian, #5. I've been trying to get all of the Conan King Size Annuals and Giant Sizes that from the Bronze Age and from the early to mid 80s. So this happens to contain the wedding night of King Conan. I didn't even know that they actually had this story in print. So, as a Conan fan, had to have it, especially for $2. These last three Bronze Age were not necessarily on my list, but for $1, I love picking up Bronze Age, and it's very rare that I can pick some quality stuff up for $1. So, Red Sonja, #4. I've been picking this up from her original series when I can for, I want to say, well, I'd say very fine to very fine minus condition for $1. And these Bronze Age books are old, man. So, anytime I can find these for $1, I'm definitely gonna pick them up. Marvel Feature, #3, 25-cent book. And finally, Luke Cage, Power Man, #25. Facing off against Wildfire, the hottest new villain in town. Spoiler alert, he was not. But great books. Alright, I guess to the collectible section of the video. We go from Power Man to Iron Fist, #1, Special Yoga Instructor Variant edition. Just kidding. So, all right, just putting it out there. The reason I got this book in particular is I have a rule. Last haul, I picked up Marvel Premiere number 15, which was slab, the 6.5. Very happy about it, but every time I buy a slab, I do have a rule. I have to buy a reprint of that comic so I can read the comic that is in said slab. So, this was the only reprint that I could that I've researched of Marvel Premiere number 15, and it just happens to feature a Netflix variant, Finn Jones variant cover. So, a couple of people kind of razzed me a little bit about liking the Iron Fist series, so let me just reiterate a little bit. Iron Fist was not that good of a show. Out of all the Netflix shows, it is definitely the weakest out of all of them. But it did interest me enough in the character, so I started searching out back issues, starting off with the John Byrne run of the 1970s, which made me become kind of an Iron Fist fan. And I also discovered some of the Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction run on the cheap. So put those two factors together, and I kind of liked Iron Fist. I don't think the show is total garbage. I mean, when I'm in between big screen superhero flicks in a rut and there's nothing out there, I like to turn to Netflix for my superhero entertainment. Love the Daredevil show, Cage, Alias. I like Defenders. Iron Fist was probably the weakest, but I still think that if they ever combined the Iron Fist show and the Cage show with those supporting casts, it would probably be the strongest show on Netflix. Finn Jones, obviously the weakest point of the Iron Fist series. I mean, how do you cast someone that obviously doesn't have any experience or very limited experience with martial arts? So, but I think if he can hone his newfound art of martial arts, I think this series could potentially get a lot better. So, anyway, Iron Fist, New York City Comic-Con, Netflix variant. Yeah, but really cool origin story of Iron Fist, I have to say. I'd actually never read it before, so pretty cool. This is a book I picked up on the random yesterday. Oh, and that Iron Fist book goes for, I guess, like, what, 10 to 12 bucks? Same thing as this one. This is Necrosha Aftermath, a Woman of Marvel one-shot, Dazzler #1. And unfortunately, it's a kind of cheesy story about her and her sister and Arcade from Murder World, who you kind of lose me right there. I was never a Murder World fan, but love this cover. It's like, she's like, lemonade, Becky. Boom! The one Silver Age edition of the run, or of the haul this week. We have Detective Comics number 367. And like I said, anytime that I can find Silver Age in great shape at a great price, especially when it comes to Batman, I'm going to pick it up all the time. As I said last week, for some reason, DC Comics don't seem to hold the same value widespread as Marvel do. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of DC Silver out there that holds its value. But especially with like Superman, you can get a lot of it on the cheap. So this book I only paid $20 for it, one of my LCSs. So very happy with that. Nice Carmine Infantino vintage Silver Age artwork. Okay, for the last 4 books, it is all about the indie love. Indie comics. Kicking it off, Dark Horse Presents number 10. I just picked this up yesterday for $3, near mint condition, and it features the first appearance of the Mask, which a lot of the younger viewers out there probably don't remember, but at one time the Mask was Dark Horse's most universally known character in their stable, thanks mainly to the Jim Carrey movie from the 1990s. So very happy. This book was worth more back in the day. It's definitely dropped now. I think you can find it online between, like, maybe if you wanted it in a fine grade for like under $10, or in a high grade for probably between, I don't know, like $15 and $20. So very happy. I'm a first appearance hoarder, so very happy to add the first appearance of the Mask into the collection. Alright, at that same store, for $10, I finally found a Spawn #1 newsstand. I was psyched. I've been to the store multiple times. I have looked for this book there multiple times because he does have a Spawn section and multiple first issues. And could never find it. So I was just thumbing through his independent section, and totally out of the Spawn section, there was this one issue of Spawn #1 with the Newsstand variant. So, very happy. It is not a perfect copy. It has probably 3, maybe 4, 5 spine ticks, but I would still say probably a very fine minus. And for $10, to walk into a store and spend $13 and walk out with a Spawn Newsstand #1 and the first appearance of the mask, I was pretty happy with that. Alright, winding down, 2 major indie first appearances that I've had on my list for a long time. Comico Primer, #2, the first appearance of Grendel. Psyched. You know, there's still like a couple of characters out there in the Copper Age that was still on my list. And right now, at my stage of the game, I've been trying to concentrate on key issues that are under $200 that don't seem to be going down in price anytime soon. And the rate the comics have been going up, I'm just trying to catch it before it goes beyond that $200 range. So far this year, I've picked up, well, I won't get into it just yet, but Comico Primer, #2. I've heard people call it Comico Primer, so I don't know if that's a regional thing. I think Comico is the Italian version of comic, but up here in the East Coast, at least around where I live, it's always been called Comico as like comic company. But either or, first appearance of Grendel, psyched, and that would have easily been my pick of the week, or pick of the haul rather, if not for. Oh, and let me just say, this comic too is not perfect. It has a couple of spine ticks, tough black cover on a cheap indie comic, but once again, I would say probably VF to VF minus condition. Now, this bad boy, however, is high grade. And this is Caliber Presents #1, which features the first appearance of the Crow. Woo! The original Crow movie is probably still in my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time. Another character, kind of like the Mask, was really watered down and oversaturated the market, let's just say. A lot of different iterations of this character, but love the Crow. Kind of like Grendel, love those old school indie characters that were not in my collection up until just recently. So as I was saying before, I've been trying to concentrate lately on some key issues, trying to, get some key issues off my list that are under $200 and before they reach that next plateau. So just seeing how the the Bronze Age has blown up over the past, 5 years or so. I would say the Copper Age is up next. A lot of these books are going to be hitting that 40-plus year mark sooner than later. So I would jump on them now if you can, and if you want to. So that's all I have for this week. I will be back in a couple more weeks, or I don't know, probably 3 more weeks with another comic book haul. Maybe I'll do another comic book collection spotlight video. I've just been lazy lately. It takes a lot to, dig all those different books out and then put them all back away, and I don't know. Maybe I just got to get motivated again. But thank you all for watching, liking, subscribing, as always. And I just want to lastly say congratulations to all the Philly fans out there. Coming from New England, no excuses. Congratulations. Enjoy it, man. So, that's all I have. Thank you all for liking, subscribing. I'm rambling, so I'm just going to let you go now. All right, take care. See ya.